Hey everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and I'm super excited you're here with us today.
Hi, friends. I'm Julia, your co-host. Whether you're walking, cooking, or just relaxing, thank you for joining us. Today's episode is going to give you a big confidence boost.
That's right. Today's topic is called Start Speaking Now, Fix Your Mistakes Later. And trust me, this one is really important for anyone learning English.
So many people wait. They wait to speak until they think their English is perfect. But here's a secret. We all make mistakes. And that's how we learn.
Yes, in this episode, we're going to talk about why it's okay, even good to make mistakes when you speak English, and how speaking now is the key to getting better fast.
We'll also give you easy tips to start speaking more today, even if you're alone, and even if you're shy.
So if you've ever felt scared to speak English or worried about sounding wrong, this episode is just for you.
And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it with a friend who's learning English too.
All right, ready to stop waiting and start speaking? Let's go. So, let's start with something real. A lot of English learners don't speak, even if they know a lot of words. Julia, why do you think that happens?
Oh, I've seen this so many times. One big reason? Fear. People are afraid to make a mistake. They think, what if I say it wrong? Or what if people laugh at me?
Yes, that fear is so common. I remember one student who said she felt like everyone was judging her accent. But you know what? Most people aren't judging. They're just happy you're trying to speak.
Exactly. But in school or in public, we sometimes feel pressure to sound perfect. And that pressure makes us quiet. We hold back.
It's true. People often say things like, I'm just not ready yet. But if you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever.
And honestly, speaking a new language is a little scary at first. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I was so nervous to say even simple things like, "Where is the bathroom?"
Ha ha. Same here with French. I once said something totally wrong in a cafe, and the waiter just smiled and helped me. I survived, and I learned from it.
That's the thing. Most people are kind. They're not expecting perfect English. They just want to understand you, and they will, even if you make small mistakes.
So if you feel scared, shy, or nervous, just know you're not alone. And it's totally normal.
Yes, but don't let fear stop you, because the only way to get more confident is to speak more.
Well said. All right, next, we're going to talk about what happens when you wait to be perfect before speaking. Spoiler, it doesn't help you grow.
So, Jason, earlier you said something really important. If you wait until you're perfect, you might wait forever. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, let's break it down. Many learners think, I'll speak when I know more grammar, or I'll talk when my pronunciation is better. But the truth is, that day never really comes.
Right, because the more you wait, the more pressure you feel. You start thinking, now I really have to speak perfectly, and that pressure just keeps growing.
Exactly. And guess what happens? People lose confidence. They know the words. They understand English. But they don't trust themselves to speak.
I had a friend like that. She studied English for 3 years. She could write essays, read books, but when someone asked her a simple question like, "How are you?" she froze.
Wow, yeah. That happens a lot. And here's the sad part. When you don't speak, you miss out. You miss the chance to make new friends, ask questions, or even get better job opportunities.
And even worse, you miss the chance to learn from your mistakes. Speaking is how we grow.
Exactly. If you're waiting for perfect, you're holding yourself back. Progress comes from action, not from waiting.
So if you're listening right now and thinking, maybe I should wait a little longer, don't. Start now. Even one small sentence a day is better than silence.
All right, up next, we'll show you why making mistakes is not a bad thing. In fact, it's the secret to getting better faster. Okay, let's be real. Nobody becomes fluent in English without making mistakes. It's just not possible.
Yes, making mistakes is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're trying, and that's how learning happens.
You know what this reminds me of? Think about how children learn to speak. Do they say everything perfectly from the start?
Ha ha ha, not at all. Kids say the funniest things. Like instead of I went, they say I goed. But no one laughs at them. We smile, correct them gently, and they learn.
Exactly. So, if a child can make mistakes and learn, so can you. That's how our brain works. It needs feedback. It needs trial and error.
You know, when I was learning German, I once said something totally wrong in a shop. I mixed up the word for bread and bride. I said, I want to buy a bride.
Ha ha! Oh no! That's hilarious. But see? You remember it because it was funny. That mistake helped you never forget the right word.
Totally. That's what people don't realize. Mistakes are like little teachers. They help you remember, grow, and improve.
And the good news is, most people are understanding. They'll help you. Or they'll just smile and keep talking. No one expects you to sound like a native speaker.
Right. So if you're worried about being perfect, don't be. Be proud that you're speaking at all. That's a big step.
So remember this: mistakes progress. Every mistake you make is a step forward, not backward.
Beautifully said, Jason. Coming up next, we'll talk about why speaking early and often is one of the best things you can do to become fluent faster. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest secrets to learning English faster. Speak early and speak often.
Yes, speaking often, every day, even just a little, is like exercise. The more you do it, the stronger and more confident you get.
That's right. It doesn't have to be long conversations. Even saying small sentences like I am going to the market or today I feel happy helps build your speaking muscles.
Exactly. The earlier you start speaking, the more comfortable you get. Don't wait until you think you're ready. Just start with what you know.
You'll be surprised how fast you improve. I once had a student who only knew basic English, but she practiced speaking out loud every day for 5 minutes. In 3 months, boom! Her confidence was amazing.
I love that. And she didn't wait for perfect grammar. She just started, and she kept going. That's the power of speaking often.
It also helps your brain connect words faster. When you speak regularly, you stop translating in your head. The words start to come naturally.
That's such a good point. When you only read or listen, your brain understands. But when you speak, your brain gets used to producing English. That's real fluency.
So true. And speaking out loud, even when you're alone, is one of the best things you can do. We'll talk more about that soon.
Yes, we've got a section coming up just on speaking alone. But remember, this speaking early builds confidence. Speaking often builds fluency.
That's the magic formula. Early plus often equals success in English.
Next up, let's talk about how you can practice speaking even if you don't have a partner. This part is super helpful, so stay with us. So now the big question is, how can I start speaking if I don't have anyone to talk to? Well, the good news is, you can practice speaking on your own.
Yes, and it's easier than you think. You don't need a classroom or a conversation partner to get started. You just need your voice and your motivation.
Let's go through a few super simple ways. Anyone can start speaking right now, no matter where they are.
All right, number 1, talk to yourself in English. It sounds funny, but it really works. Say what you're doing like I'm making tea or I'm going outside.
Exactly. Describe your day. Talk about your plans. Even just speaking a few short sentences every morning helps build your confidence.
Tip number 2. Read out loud. Take a book, a short article, or even your English notes, and read them out loud slowly. Focus on pronunciation.
That's such a good one. And it helps train your mouth to get used to English sounds. You can even record yourself and listen back.
Yes, that's tip 3, record your voice. This helps you hear your mistakes and improve your pronunciation. Plus, it's fun to listen later and see how much better you've become.
Tip 4. Shadow native speakers. This means listening to short sentences, like in a video or podcast, and repeating them right after, like an echo.
I love this method. It helps with rhythm, tone, and natural speaking. You can pause, repeat, and even copy their emotion and style.
And finally, tip 5. Use apps or online tools where you can speak with a chatbot or practice pronunciation. Even a voice translator can be a good speaking buddy.
Yes, technology makes it easier than ever. And remember, don't worry about mistakes. Just focus on speaking something every day.
Even if it's just for 2 or 3 minutes. Speaking daily builds a habit, and habits create results.
So wherever you are right now after this podcast, say something in English, even one sentence. That's how you begin.
Coming up next, we'll talk about the right mindset you need to keep going when you feel nervous or stuck. You don't want to miss this part.
Let's be honest, making a mistake while speaking English can feel really uncomfortable, right?
Oh yeah, you might feel embarrassed, shy, or even want to stop speaking completely. But here's the truth. Mistakes are normal.
Absolutely. Everyone makes them, even native speakers. The key is to not take it personally. A mistake doesn't mean you're bad at English. It just means you're learning.
Think of it like this. When a baby falls while learning to walk, we don't say, "Oh no, this baby will never walk." We smile and say, "Try again."
I love that example. So when you say something wrong, just think, oops, learning moment, laugh a little, correct it if you can, and move on.
And don't forget, most people are kind. They're not judging you. They're impressed that you're learning a new language. That takes courage.
Exactly. If someone corrects you, say thank you. If you forget a word, just describe it. Say the thing for cutting food if you can't remember knife. It's totally okay.
One simple tip I like is to say, "I'm still learning English." It lets people know you're trying, and it helps them be more patient and supportive.
So next time you make a mistake, smile and keep going. Because every mistake is making you better, not worse.
And coming up next, we'll share one of the biggest secrets, how real fluency comes from doing, not just studying. Stay with us. All right, friends, we've shared a lot today, but if you remember just one thing, let it be this: just speak.
Yes, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until your grammar is flawless. Don't wait until you feel 100% ready, because the truth is you'll get better by doing it.
Exactly. Speaking is like learning to ride a bike. You can watch videos, read books, and listen to podcasts, but one day, you just have to get on and ride.
And yes, you might fall a little, you might mess up, but you'll also move forward, and that's how progress happens.
So today, after this podcast, we challenge you. Say one thing in English. Talk to yourself. Repeat something from this episode. Record your voice. Just do something, because action builds confidence.
You've got this. We believe in you. And remember, the only way to speak English is to start speaking English.
Thanks for joining us today on the English Learning Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. But until then,
Thanks so much for spending time with us today. We're really proud of you for listening, learning, and taking steps to speak English better.
yes, and remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave enough to start. Every word you speak brings you closer to fluency.
And we're here with you on this journey. Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself.
Make sure to subscribe, share this podcast with a friend, and leave us a comment. Tell us how you plan to start speaking today.
Until next time, stay confident, stay curious, and most of all,
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, where we help you build your confidence and skills in English, step by step. I'm Jason, your host, and today we're diving into an exciting topic: speak like a pro. Whether you're aiming to excel in interviews, nail a presentation, or simply sound more confident in your daily conversations, this episode is for you. So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's explore what it really takes to speak like a pro.
hi everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host. It's so great to be here with all of you. You know, Jason, I still remember my first big presentation in English. I was so nervous I could barely hold my notes. I kept thinking, what if I mess up? But here's the thing. Becoming a professional speaker is a journey. And trust me, anyone can get there with the right tools and practice. That's exactly what we'll share with you today.
That's such a relatable story, Julia. A lot of people think that speaking like a pro means you have to be perfect. But in reality, it's about sounding clear, confident, and authentic. And we'll show you how to master all of that in today's episode.
Exactly. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced English learner, stick with us because we've got some great tips, strategies, and even a fun role play to help you level up your speaking skills.
All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about what it really means to speak like a pro. All right, let's start by answering the big question. What does it mean to speak like a pro? Julia, when you hear that phrase, what comes to your mind?
Great question, Jason. For me, speaking like a pro means three things: clarity, confidence, and connection. First, you need to speak clearly so your message is understood. Second, confidence, because if you don't believe in your words, others won't either. And finally, connection. You need to engage with your audience, whether it's one person or 100.
Exactly. And I'd add one more thing: being purposeful. Professional communication isn't just about saying a lot of words, it's about saying the right words. Think of it this way: speaking like a pro means you're not just talking, you're delivering a message that leaves an impact.
That's so true, and it applies to all kinds of situations: job interviews, meetings, presentations, or even casual conversations. When you speak like a pro, people listen. They trust you and respect what you're saying.
Yes, and here's an important point. You don't have to sound perfect or use fancy words to speak professionally. It's more about how you structure your thoughts, the tone of your voice, and how you connect with the listener. In other words, it's a skill that anyone can learn.
Right, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner in English. As long as you focus on these key elements, clarity, confidence, connection, and purpose, you can start improving right away.
Exactly. So now that we know what it means to speak like a pro, let's talk about something just as important: the challenges that many learners face when trying to achieve this. All right, now that we know what it means to speak like a pro, let's talk about the challenges that many English learners face on this journey. Julia, what do you think is one of the biggest struggles?
Oh, Jason, there are so many. But if I had to pick one, I'd say it's fear of making mistakes. This is something I hear from learners all the time. They're so worried about using the wrong word or mispronouncing something that they end up staying silent.
That's a big one, Julia, and it's completely natural. Nobody wants to feel embarrassed. But here's the truth: mistakes are part of the learning process. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not challenging yourself enough.
Exactly. Another challenge I've noticed is lack of vocabulary. Some learners feel like they don't know the right words to express their ideas, so they either use very basic language or get stuck mid-sentence.
That's a great point. It's frustrating when you have something important to say, but you can't find the words to say it. And speaking of getting stuck, another big challenge is nervousness or stage fright, especially in professional settings like presentations or meetings.
Oh, I can relate to that one. I remember my first big meeting in English. I was so nervous, my hands were shaking. For a lot of people, just the thought of speaking in front of others can be overwhelming.
Absolutely. And here's another one. Using filler words like um, or you know. While it's normal to use them occasionally, too many fillers can make you sound unsure of yourself.
True. Another challenge is not structuring your thoughts properly. Sometimes learners start speaking without a clear plan, and their sentences end up sounding jumbled or confusing.
Right. And let's not forget pronunciation and tone. Some learners worry that their accent will make it hard for others to understand them, or they might struggle to use the right tone for the situation.
Yes, pronunciation and tone can definitely impact how your message is received. But here's the good news. All of these challenges are completely fixable with the right strategies and consistent practice.
Exactly. And in the next section, we're going to share some practical tips to help you overcome these challenges and start speaking like a pro. Stick with us. All right, it's time for the part you've all been waiting for. Our top tips to help you speak like a pro. Julia, what's the first tip you'd share with our listeners?
Jason, I'd start with one of the most important skills. Practice active listening. Before you can speak well, you need to listen well. Pay attention to how native speakers or experienced communicators talk. Notice their tone, word choices, and even their pauses.
That's such a great point, Julia. And here's a related tip. Expand your vocabulary. The more words you know, the easier it becomes to express yourself clearly and confidently. But don't just memorize lists. Focus on learning words and phrases you'll actually use in real-life situations.
Exactly. And speaking of real-life situations, another great tip is to practice out loud, whether you're talking to yourself in the mirror, recording your voice, or speaking with a language partner. Saying the words out loud helps you get comfortable and build muscle memory.
I love that. And when you're practicing, don't forget to focus on pronunciation and tone. You don't have to sound exactly like a native speaker, but try to pronounce words clearly and use a tone that matches the situation. For example, a formal tone for meetings and a friendly tone for casual conversations.
Yes, tone is so important. And here's another tip. Slow down. Many learners feel they have to speak quickly to sound fluent, but that often leads to mistakes or mumbling. Speaking at a steady pace not only makes you easier to understand, but also gives you time to think.
That's a great one, Julia. And here's a tip that really helps with confidence. Prepare key phrases in advance. If you know you're going to have a meeting, a presentation, or even a casual conversation, think about what you want to say and practice those phrases beforehand.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the power of body language. Even if you're speaking on a video call or over the phone, your posture and gestures can influence how confident and professional you sound.
That's such a good reminder. And here's a tip for those who struggle with nerves. Practice mindfulness and breathing techniques. Taking a few deep breaths before speaking can help calm your mind and make you sound more composed.
And finally, don't forget to seek feedback. Ask a teacher, a friend, or even use apps that provide feedback on your speaking. Knowing what you're doing well and what needs improvement can help you grow much faster.
Exactly. Remember, speaking like a pro doesn't happen overnight. It's all about consistent practice and a willingness to learn. Start with one or two of these tips and build from there.
Right. And coming up next, we're going to do a quick role play to show you how these tips work in action. Stay with us.
Now, to make these tips more practical, let's dive into a couple of role-play scenarios. Julia and I will demonstrate how you can apply these techniques in real-life situations. Ready, Julia?
Absolutely, Jason. Let's start with a common situation. Introducing yourself in a formal setting, like a job interview or networking event.
All right, I'll play the interviewer, and Julia, you're the candidate. Let's begin. Good morning, Julia. Can you tell me a little about yourself?
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Julia, and I have a background in project management with over 5 years of experience leading cross-functional teams. I specialize in improving workflows and ensuring projects are completed on time and within budget. In my previous role, I successfully implemented a new project tracking system that increased efficiency by 20%. I'm passionate about creating organized and productive environments, and I'm excited to bring this expertise to your team.
Great response, Julia. Let's break that down for our listeners. What you did there was a fantastic example of speaking like a pro. You were clear, confident, and purposeful. You started with a friendly greeting, highlighted your key strengths, and ended on a positive note. Excellent job.
Thank you, Jason. And listeners, notice how I prepared key points in advance. That made it easier for me to stay focused and avoid rambling.
Now, let's try another situation. Responding to a challenging question during a team meeting. Julia, I'll ask you a tough question, and you'll demonstrate how to handle it professionally. Julia, we noticed the last project exceeded the budget by 10%. Can you explain what happened and how we can prevent this in the future?
Thank you for bringing that up, Jason. While we did go slightly over budget, it was primarily due to unexpected vendor price increases. To address this, I've already started researching alternative suppliers with more stable pricing. Additionally, I'm implementing a contingency budget plan for future projects to better prepare for such situations. I take full responsibility and am confident that these changes will ensure we stay within budget moving forward.
Another great response, Julia. You stayed calm, acknowledged the issue, and immediately focused on solutions. That's exactly how a pro handles a tough question.
Thanks, Jason. And for our listeners, remember, when you're faced with a difficult question, take a moment to think before answering. Stay composed, be honest about the situation, and focus on what you're doing to improve.
All right, let's do one more. Making small talk at a networking event. Julia, let's say we've just met. I'll start. Hi, I'm Jason. I work in marketing. How about you?
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you. I'm Julia, and I work in project management. Marketing sounds interesting. What kind of projects are you working on right now?
I'm currently leading a campaign for a new product launch. It's been exciting, but also pretty challenging. What about you? What's your favorite part of project management?
That sounds exciting. For me, I love seeing a project come together. It's so satisfying to take an idea and turn it into something tangible that benefits a team or organization.
Great conversation, Julia. You kept the tone light, showed interest, and shared just enough about yourself to keep the flow going. These are all key aspects of professional communication.
Thanks, Jason. And listeners, small talk doesn't have to be intimidating. Focus on being friendly and curious. It's a great way to build connections.
Exactly. We hope these examples give you a clear idea of how to apply the tips we've shared. Next, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and encouragement. So don't go anywhere. All right, everyone, as we wrap up this episode, let's leave you with some motivation to take the first steps toward speaking like a pro. Julia, what's one thing you'd like our listeners to remember?
I'd say this: don't be afraid to start small. Every professional speaker was once a beginner. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. Just focus on improving one thing at a time, whether it's your vocabulary, pronunciation, or confidence. Remember, small steps lead to big changes.
That's so true, Julia. And I'll add this. Speaking like a pro isn't about being flawless. It's about being authentic and intentional. People value your ideas, not just the way you say them. So don't let fear of mistakes hold you back. Use every conversation as an opportunity to grow.
Exactly, Jason. And for our listeners who might feel nervous, remember, confidence comes from practice. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems.
Yes, and speaking of celebrating progress, don't forget to reflect on how far you've already come. Whether it's saying your first sentence in English or holding a full conversation, every milestone matters. Believe in yourself because we believe in you.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of learners just like you, and resources like this podcast are here to support you every step of the way.
That's right. You've got this. Speaking like a pro is within your reach, and with consistent effort, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep speaking.
We're so proud of you for taking this step, and don't forget to share your journey with us. We'd love to hear about your progress.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember to subscribe to our podcast for more episodes and share this with anyone who might find it helpful. Until next time, keep speaking, keep shining, and speak like a pro.
Bye for now, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Before we wrap up completely, let's talk about how you can take what you've learned today and put it into action. Julia, what's the first step our listeners can take right now?
The first step is simple: practice. Start by picking one tip we shared today, like slowing down your speech or focusing on clear pronunciation. Then apply it in your daily conversations or even when talking to yourself. Consistency is key.
Great advice, Julia. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Join a community of English learners, like an online group or a local language club, where you can practice speaking regularly and get feedback.
Also, don't forget to use the resources around you. Listen to English podcasts, watch videos, and try shadowing techniques to improve your fluency and intonation. You can even re-listen to this episode and practice along with us.
And here's a challenge for you. Record yourself speaking about any topic for 1 minute. Listen back to identify areas for improvement, and then try again. It's a great way to track your progress and build confidence.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your progress or ask questions in the comments section of this podcast. Let's learn and grow together.
And if you found today's episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. It helps us reach more learners like you. Plus, we've got plenty more episodes filled with tips and strategies to help you master English.
Absolutely. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We're here to support you on your journey every step of the way.
So, take that first step today. Practice speaking like a pro, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first. You'll get better with time and effort. Thanks for listening, and we can't wait to see you again in the next episode.
Bye for now, and keep striving toward your goals. You've got this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, your go-to place to improve your English step by step. I'm Jason, your host.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. Hi, everyone. Today, we're diving into a very important topic that can change the way you speak English: how to speak like a thinker, not a translator.
Exactly, Julia. Many English learners tend to translate everything from their native language into English in their head before they speak. But that can slow you down and make your speech sound unnatural.
Right, Jason. Imagine if you had to translate every word or sentence first. It's like having a delay in a conversation. But what if you could think directly in English like a native speaker does?
That's the key. Today, we'll talk about why thinking in English, not translating, helps you speak more naturally, faster, and with confidence.
And we'll share practical tips and examples to help you start thinking in English every day. So stay tuned and get ready to change your English learning game.
Let's get started. All right, Julia. Now that we've introduced the topic, let's dive into what it really means to speak like a thinker, not a translator.
Great! So, Jason, when people say speak like a thinker, they mean that instead of translating word for word from your native language to English, you start to think directly in English.
Exactly. Think of it this way: if you translate, you're like a bridge between two languages. You hear a sentence in your language, then you convert it into English before you say it.
Right. And that process can slow you down, sometimes confuse your meaning, or make your sentences sound awkward because the grammar and word order in your language might be very different from English.
On the other hand, thinking like a thinker means you let English form the ideas in your mind first. You don't try to translate a phrase, you just form the idea directly in English.
So instead of saying in your head, I want to go to the market, by translating word for word, you start to just think the idea itself in English. Your brain naturally picks the right words and grammar.
That's right. And this is how native speakers speak. They don't translate from another language. They simply think and speak in the language itself.
And that helps with fluency, speaking smoothly without long pauses, hesitation, or awkward phrasing.
Let's give an example. Imagine someone whose native language is Spanish. If they translate I'm hungry from Spanish yo tengo hambre, they might say I have hunger, which sounds unnatural in English.
But if they think directly in English, they just say, I'm hungry, simple and natural.
Exactly. So, speaking like a thinker means learning to think and speak English in its own natural way, not just converting phrases from your native language.
That's the difference. And over time, this approach helps your English sound more natural and your conversations become much easier.
All right, Julia. Now that we know what it means to speak like a thinker, let's talk about some common problems that many English learners face when they try to speak, but keep translating in their heads.
Yes, Jason. One big problem is slow speaking. When learners translate each word or sentence, it takes extra time, so they often pause a lot or speak very slowly.
Exactly. And these long pauses can make conversations feel unnatural or awkward. Sometimes learners lose their train of thought because they're busy trying to translate instead of just expressing the idea.
Another problem is making mistakes with grammar or word order. Because languages have different structures, direct translation can cause errors. For example, putting adjectives after nouns or using incorrect verb tenses.
Right? Like saying, I very like this, instead of, I really like this. That happens when people translate word for word, without thinking about how English works.
Also, learners sometimes use wrong vocabulary because they pick the closest translation instead of the word that fits best in English. This can confuse listeners.
And let's not forget feeling nervous or stuck during conversations. When you focus too much on translating, It's easy to get overwhelmed or lose confidence because the process feels slow and difficult.
Absolutely. And sometimes learners get frustrated and want to give up because speaking feels like a big challenge.
So these common problems, slow speech, grammar mistakes, wrong words, and nervousness, often come from translating in the mind instead of thinking directly in English.
But don't worry, these problems can be fixed. In fact, today's podcast will help you understand how to overcome these issues by training your brain to think in English.
That's right. We'll share practical tips and exercises soon to help you speak more naturally and confidently. Julia, now that we've talked about the problems with translating, let's explore why it's actually so important to think in English when you speak.
Yes, Jason, thinking in English helps your brain get used to the language naturally. When you think directly in English, you don't have to pause and translate, so your speaking becomes faster and smoother.
That's a great point. Also, thinking in English helps improve your fluency. Fluency means speaking without hesitation or too many pauses, and that happens when your brain processes English thoughts directly.
Exactly. It's like training your brain to work in English mode. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and eventually it feels natural.
There's also a cognitive benefit. When you think in English, you're strengthening your ability to understand and produce the language more effectively. Your brain creates direct connections between ideas and English words, skipping the translation step.
And this can also improve your listening skills because when you think in English, you're more used to the natural flow and patterns of the language.
Good point. Plus, thinking in English boosts your confidence. When you speak without mentally translating, you feel more relaxed and in control of the conversation.
And don't forget, thinking in English helps you sound more natural and less robotic. Your sentences flow better because you're not stuck switching back and forth between languages.
That's why teachers and experts often say the key to speaking well is to train yourself to think in English, not just memorize grammar or vocabulary.
So, in summary, thinking in English helps with fluency, listening, confidence, and sounding natural. It's really the foundation of good spoken English.
All right, Julia. Now that we know why thinking in English is so important, let's get practical. How can learners start practicing this skill every day?
Great question, Jason. The first step is to change your mindset. Stop trying to translate every sentence. Instead, try to focus on the meaning and picture it in your mind in English.
Yes. For example, when you see something, try to say it in English right away. If you're drinking coffee, think, I am drinking coffee, instead of translating it from your language.
Another great practice is to talk to yourself in English. It might feel strange at first, but it helps your brain get used to forming thoughts in English naturally.
Exactly. You can describe what you're doing, what you're planning to do, or even how you feel. For example, now I am writing an email, or I feel happy today.
Also, try to use English in your daily life as much as possible. Label objects around your house with English words, or write simple notes to yourself in English.
Good tip! Another very effective exercise is to think in English when you plan your day or make decisions. Instead of thinking, what should I eat, in your native language and then translating, think it directly in English.
And don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to get used to the process of thinking in English, not to be perfect right away.
Absolutely. Another way to practice is to listen to English podcasts, watch movies, or read books in English. This helps you get used to English patterns and phrases, so you can start thinking like a native speaker.
A very powerful exercise is to pause during listening or reading and try to predict what comes next in English. This trains your brain to stay active in English rather than translating mentally.
Also, try to practice speaking regularly, even if it's just a few minutes a day. You can practice with friends, tutors, or even record yourself speaking on a topic.
And remember, it takes time and patience. The more you practice thinking in English, the more natural it will become.
To sum up, here are some key steps. Change your mindset, talk to yourself, use English daily, listen and read actively, and practice speaking regularly.
If you build these habits, speaking like a thinker, not a translator, will become easier every day.
Julia, it's always inspiring to hear real stories. Do you have any examples of learners who improved by thinking in English instead of translating?
Absolutely, Jason. I remember a student I worked with named Maria. She was a Spanish speaker who always translated in her head before speaking. At first, her speech was slow and awkward.
What changed for her?
She started practicing thinking directly in English every day, talking to herself, labeling objects, and trying to form thoughts in English. Within a few months, her fluency improved dramatically. She was able to speak more confidently and naturally.
That's amazing. Do you have any other examples?
Yes, another learner, Ahmed from Egypt, shared that once he stopped translating word by word, he felt less nervous during conversations. He said it felt like his brain finally switched on in English, and he could understand and respond faster.
I love that switched on in English. It shows how mindset really changes everything.
Exactly. These examples show that it's not just about learning grammar or vocabulary, it's about training your brain to think in the language itself.
And these changes don't happen overnight. But with consistent practice, anyone can get there.
So if you're listening and struggling with translating in your head, remember Maria and Ahmed. Their stories prove that thinking in English is possible and powerful.
Julia, let's show our listeners how thinking in English works in a real conversation. Are you ready for a quick role play?
Absolutely, Jason. Let's keep it simple and natural.
Okay, imagine you're at a coffee shop and I'm the barista. Instead of translating in your head, just think and speak directly in English.
Got it. Hi, can I get a cup of coffee, please?
Sure. What kind of coffee would you like?
I'd like a latte, please. And can I have it with almond milk?
Of course. Anything else?
No, that's all, thank you.
See? When you think in English, conversations flow smoothly and naturally.
Exactly. No need to pause or translate, just listen, think, and respond in English.
Listeners, try practicing short dialogues like this daily to train your brain. Julia, before we wrap up, let's share a quick tip for our listeners who want to start thinking in English today.
Sure, my tip is start small. Don't try to think in full sentences right away. Begin by naming things around you in English or thinking about simple actions like I'm eating or I'm walking.
That's a great tip. Little steps add up. And remember, practice daily, even just a few minutes, can make a big difference.
Exactly. Keep practicing and soon thinking in English will feel natural.
Thanks for joining us today on the English Learning Podcast. We hope you found these tips helpful for speaking like a thinker, not a translator.
Don't forget to practice thinking in English every day. It really makes a difference.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, leave your questions or comments below. We love hearing from you.
See you next time. Keep practicing and speaking confidently.